There were a few other things I wanted to discuss about my eyewitness account at the International Criminal Court preparatory committee meetings in 2001. I think are important. First of all, when I went into the meeting, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't an ambassador like everybody else because it was a meeting that was closed to all observers. For instance, no United Nations organizations or NGOs were allowed in this meeting. You had to be the chief ambassador of a country to be in there. It was a mistake. I was in there, as I had stated previously. What I wanted to make clear was, from the time I entered the room, I didn't know what to do, so I asked a few of the representative ambassadors that from countries from Africa, what do I do here? And I assumed they were from Africa because some of the faceplates stated they were from Africa countries. They had French accents, and they were black. So I said to the guy sitting next to me, what do I do? And he looked at me and he said, well, just go over there, get a bunch, as many papers as you can, sit down over here. And he pointed to the seat next to him. And he said, just look like you're busy. And that's it. And the entire time I was in that meeting, the guy sitting next to me from the African country, and I forget which one exactly it was, he was just sitting there and he was like doodling. I was really shocked, because I was taking all the notes, as many notes as I possibly can. I was reading the papers. If I had a tape recorder, I would have really preferred that. I was amazed at what I was actually hearing and seeing in that meeting, as I stated. And this guy sitting next to me, who was an ambassador from the African nation, was sitting there, and he was doodling. He was making pictures and faces and all kinds of little doodling things. The one thing he wasn't doing is paying any attention whatsoever about human rights. And I think one of his countries was probably one of the most problematic in Africa that I remember. I said to myself something like, oh, he's from that country. Oh my God, and he's sitting there doodling. I wonder why they have so many human rights problems over there. Anyway, and then, as I stated, Richard Holbrooke was sitting directly across from me. He was to the left. The Israel ambassador from Israel was to the right of Mr. Holbrooke. And then the representative from Spain, she had straight hair, shoulder length, with like glasses or like square, all the way in the corner to the left of me in a corner chair. She stood up and she got very angry that there were a few countries that, like me, didn't like what she had to say. And she stood up very loud, and I have a photographic memory, and she said, quote, my country, Spain, thinks, well, what she said was, quote, my country, Spain, feels very strongly that if we give more money to finance the International Criminal Court, which was newly emergent at that time, it didn't exist yet, it didn't have the signatories, the number of signatories it needed. She said, my country, Spain, feels very strongly the more money we give the newly emergent ICC, the more control we feel we should get over the verdicts of guilt and innocence, and those are her words, guilt of innocence or innocence, and future judicial appointments. And a few countries, are like three, that said that, they're shocked by it, as I was. And Richard Holbrooke and the ambassador from Israel were just sitting there laughing. They're giggling like a bunch of schoolgirls. I was quite shocked. And they were like laughing, like the expressions on their faces said to me, as a international sociological honor student, said to me that they didn't take human rights or anything seriously. They were giggling like a bunch of schoolgirls, anything important. And they should have said something or intervened. If I was an ambassador, I would have right away said something to the ambassador from Spain that, this is not legal. You don't get verdicts you don't bribe court for court verdicts and for future judicial appointments. Anyway, the only thing I did not hear out of that meeting was a price for a verdict. It came really close because there were a lot of countries there, Britain, I forget, but there were close allies of the United States, and they said things to Spain like, well, quote, how much do you think we would have to give to get more control over a guilty verdict? Things like that. Discourse like that came up. That's why Mr. Karadzic, Mr. Mladic, Mr. Hadjic, and not only Bosnian Serbs, but everybody sitting in a jail cell in The Hague should not be tried. They should be returned to their countries at once, and that place should be closed down. When you hear someone, when you eyewitnesses, I did, countries that were statutes and part of this newly emergent International Criminal Court saying in a meeting, how much would I have to pay to get more control over Radovan Karadzic's guilty verdict. You know that it's corrupt, and that's what I want to say. And I'm shocked that CNN and no news media has come to me yet for an interview about this, because I think it's extremely important, because an international criminal court is only as good for humanity and humanity's future posterity as it is truthful. And I'll tell you one thing, the ICC is certainly corrupt, and the ICTY, International Criminal Court for Yugoslavia, that came before it, is even probably more so, because it was the same people there in the meeting, more or less financially feeding it, doing the same thing. So therefore, that's why I strongly feel that there should be an investigation, and it should be shut down. And if any of those people sitting in the jail cell in The Hague are to be tried, they should be tried in another court, a court in their own country, or because of this technical difficulty and illegality that the court is in contempt of itself, their charges should be dismissed. Thank you.